This is my 74th video on my work with OO gauge. See part 1 of this series for my reasons for getting into OO gauge when I already had a lot invested in working in N gauge and I didn't really have space available for a large, fully operational OO gauge layout. Also see my lengthy series on my N gauge railway modelling for smaller and more complex scenery and smaller scale trains running. This part is just a brief follow-up to my previous video, part 73, where I dealt with all the derailing problems that I had with my new Hornby 8F, the R2249 version from 2002. It was suggested in the comments that I should try running the loco on a circuit without second radius curves. Now that was possible, as the inner circuit on my Hornby layout uses second radius curves, but the outer circuit uses all third radius curves. My Bachmann Easy Track layout uses all second radius curves, so third radius isn't an option there, and I've already established that the new 8F can't get round the Bachmann layout at all without derailing. Now the instruction sheet for this loco very clearly states that it's supposed to run on second radius curves and larger, so it really should be able to handle the second radius circuit, but as we saw it couldn't. It might get round a couple of times, but eventually the pony truck came off the tracks and the loco derailed. It's also worth mentioning that all standard Hornby points use second radius for their curved portion, so a loco that can't reliably negotiate a second radius curve will not be able to reliably be turned by a standard Hornby point. Anyway, all that said, I did agree that it was certainly worth testing the new 8F on the third radius circuit, and that's the focus of this video. I tried the loco light engine on the outer circuit first. I was able to run it round quite a few times without it derailing, so I went ahead to testing it with a train. To make up the train, I got out the rest of the wagons that I brought back from the Kitchener train show at the end of November, and I also included a few other recently acquired wagons that were hanging around. There's a preponderance of Bachmann here, but examples from Hornby, Dapol and Mainline too. Here they are out of their boxes. If you've been watching other videos, you may recognise that green Joseph Bush wagon. I had it in a train in a previous video, but it kept causing derailments because its couplings were at the wrong height, so I removed it then. It's a kit-built wagon, with the couplings rather awkwardly mounted on bits of wood. I've since adjusted the mounting of the couplings, so they should now be at the right height to couple to other wagons without causing problems. Nevertheless, when I tried out this train, I did indeed have problems. This is pretty much to be expected when first running newly acquired wagons, especially when making up a train from a selection of used stock from different manufacturers. This LMS 5-plank wagon just persistently derailed. I don't really know why, and for the time being I just removed it as I couldn't see anything obvious to fix. Putting a load into it with a decent bit of weight included would likely fix the problem. This old Roundwood Collieries wagon didn't derail, but it just kept coming uncoupled from the Bachmann tank wagon to which I was trying to link it. Basically a problem of incompatibility between the types of couplings, with the newer, smaller, narrower coupling on the tank wagon not fitting well with the older, coarser, wider coupling on the coal wagon. I moved the Roundwood wagon up to take the place of the removed LMS wagon between the loco and the tank wagons, and it seemed to couple okay in that position. This wagon didn't have any problems with its couplings after my adjustments, but it made a horrible shrieking noise. It took me a while to figure out that this wagon was the source of the noise, as I'm mostly deaf in one ear, so I have no directional hearing. Once I found the culprit, I took steps. As mentioned, this was a kit-built wagon. Its axles had become rusty, and most particularly the ends of the axles where they ran in the bearings were rusty, and this was causing the noise. And it really was a horrible, loud, shrieking noise. A drop of oil on each of the bearings fixed the problem, although perhaps I should have tried to remove the axles to clean everything. So now, with the LMS 5-plank wagon set aside and the other wagons fixed and adjusted, I believe that I had a train that should run okay. Here's the whole of that train made up. 2 open wagons to separate the loco from the tank wagons, a requirement, then 4 tank wagons, creosote, tar, oil, then 3 more open wagons, then 2 livestock vans, then a 6-wheeled milk tanker, and finally a grey LMS brake van, which was actually one that I converted from a bauxite van by repainting and decalling. So now let's see that train drawn by my new Hornby 8F running on the 3rd radius circuit. Okay, well, I think I have eliminated the systemic problems with this, the wagons in this train. I got rid of the one that wouldn't, that kept derailing, and fixed some other issues, fixed the squeaking wheels. Fixed the squeaking wheels on this guy. He had rusty things and his wheels were squeaking, and hopefully, that one day I was having trouble coupling him. I moved him to something that he seemed to couple with more readily. So let's see to what degree we can run this train and keep it running on the 3rd radius. Now the engine itself did seem to work. I'm giving him about 60% power at the moment. Maybe we'll give him just a hair more because I don't want him to... I've cleaned that track back in the station over and over again. It's the hardest track to clean, of course, because it's at the back of the layout, so it's hard to get at, but I've cleaned it over and over again, and yet the engine still seems to hesitate going over that track there. When he comes through the station here, you see as he hesitates there, and I just don't know why, because I have cleaned that track over and over again, although it's very awkward to clean because I have to lean right across the layout. There's no easy way of getting at the back of this layout. It does not detach from the wall. So the only way you can get at the parts of the layout back near the wall is to lean across it, which of course is not easy. It's 4 foot wide, 7 foot by 4 foot. I'm looking at the viewfinder of the camera here, so I can't in fact see the wheels of the loco because the viewfinder of the camera doesn't allow me a detailed enough view to actually see the pony truck on the loco. You might be able to see it on the video, but I can't make it out on the viewfinder of the camera. I'm looking at whatever it is, about a 2.5-inch wide screen to try and keep the camera pointing at things. But the fact that he's getting through the points, famous last words, but the fact that he's getting through the points there without derailing would tend to indicate that his pony truck is staying on the track on these 3rd radius curves. I wish he didn't hesitate going through the back there, but I don't know what to do about that. I have cleaned it over and over again. Shall we risk leaving him running and trying to start the other one? He's going to need more power. This is the old 8F. That's the old 8F with the firebox glow, and even that may not be enough power. He needs a lot of power. I mean, he's running at 80% power, and the new one's only running at 60% power. Yes, basically about 60%. That's one thing I will say, the new one uses less power. It's got a 5-pole motor, the new one. The old one definitely needs a Ringfield motor in his, he's got a Ringfield motor in his tender, and he definitely needs more power to run than, that's the old one on the inner track there with the firebox. But he runs fine. I've never had a derailing problem with him on this layout or the other layout. But he does need a fair amount of power to run. Notably more power than the new one, as I say. They're running about the same speed, and the new one's running at 60% on its controller, and the old one is running at 80% on its controller. Well, so the new one with its famousness was that it seems like the new one with its derailing tendencies is capable of running fairly consistently on a third radius circuit. I could not for the life of me get it running reliably on the second radius circuit, which is what the old one's running on there on the inside, but it will run on the inner circuit, on the outer circuit, the third radius. Just trying to bring them together there you go. So there's the two 8Fs, the old one on the inner second radius circuit and the outer one, the new one, on the outer third radius circuit. And like that, they can apparently both run quite consistently with fairly large trains. I mean, I'm sure I counted, but we're looking at like a dozen or more wagons in each train there.